Good evening, everyone. Football fans, sports fans. Poppa Capps here, joining you again. My boy Monty.
Yes,
Here
sir.
again on the night before Thanksgiving or Halloween. Sorry, a month ahead of myself. And maybe I'm hungry, so that
Hey,
would explain that.
there's some
I'm
good
definitely I'm a Thanksgiving fan. Yeah, I'm a Thanksgiving fan. That's for sure. Top holiday.
Absolutely.
Fun episode. Last episode, it was about just recapping the week previous in college football. So naturally, we'll turn around and preview what's coming up this week. So we've got a full slate of games all over the country
Yes,
with
sir.
playoff, conference, everything, impact, rooting. Everything you can think of. There's a lot of games like that going on. So let's hop right into it. And we talked a little bit on the last episode about Boise State and the impressive win they had against UNLV last week on a Friday. Guess what? They're right back out here again on a Friday, like a high school team,
Yes,
playing
sir.
San Diego State.
San Diego State. Them Aztecs, man, they're sneaky. They're sneaky.
Some would
I don't
say
think they got it this year, though.
Some might say San Diego, which of course means
Means a whale's vagina.
yes.
Yeah, man.
Moving on from that, 23.5 point underdog. They're 3-4. Let's see who their losses are to: Washington State, California, Central Michigan, Oregon State, and wins against really no one impressed. Maybe Wyoming being the most impressive. So they don't
That's their
seem to
best
be
win.
very, they don't seem to be very strong. But this is college football, and we know that anything can happen. I mean, I would be tempted to take the spread in that game just because it's another Friday.
Yeah.
It's so weird to play on a Friday night. I'm sure as a college kid, you did that for 4 years in high school, yes, but you've been so used to preparing, which for them the preparation's the same because they
Sure.
are. It's not like they're playing on a short week or anything. They got a full week like everyone else, but you throw Sunday in there. It's usually a day off for everybody, and so can they come out and do it again? As obviously a hard fought game against UNLV. Genty had 30-something carries, and let's see how that game goes. But man, that's tempting to take the points. It's very tempting.
That's a lot of points. I mean, because what that's telling me is they're favored by 24, basically. Let's call it 24. They got 23 in the hook. And the over-under is 58. That's saying it's a, 25, 20-something game. And I'm sorry. I don't know. I would be surprised the way they run the ball.
Right.
That
There's three Genty touchdowns and a
saying?
field goal.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what it is. That's pretty much
Right.
what it boils down to.
They got to win by that much. So it's either going to be 24-0 or it's going to be. I don't see it being that high scoring, but again, they know what they're doing. I don't know if they really expect Boise State to put up that many points, but I'll probably tune into that. I got nothing going on this Friday night. I'm going to tune into that, see what it looks like, get a little more of a sample size on Genty and that team.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of people saying right now, man, he's the Heisman front runner. So I don't know.
I think Travis Hunter might have put himself in that position after what he did this past weekend, but he's got to maintain that, not get hurt.
I don't know. I have a hard time seeing anybody outside of one of the major Power 4, Power 5, whatever it is these days, conferences winning it, man. I mean, you've got to be like, I mean, that's not to say there's not kids out there capable of doing it, but I don't know. Until I see one that's like, you can say, okay, that dude is head and shoulders above everybody else. Of course, I don't even care. I'll say it. Peyton Manning was robbed.
Yeah,
of
you're
the
right.
Heisman.
You're right.
And
he was, and that was a time where, it was good for college football to see a DB, a multi-layered athlete win it, but Peyton Manning deserved it that year. I mean, as anyone can agree with that, he deserved it. I think they wanted to do something different, and then here we are, right back in the same boat with a quarterback winning it every year, with the exception of a couple of years where, Derrick Henry won it, Mark Ingram, Monty Smith. There were some exceptions, but for the most part, it's been quarterbacks and dual threat quarterbacks. It's not, the pro style aren't quarterbacks, the throwing quarterbacks aren't getting love. It would be great for college football to see either Genty or Travis Hunter win it this year. It really would.
Yeah.
So for both those reasons, I maybe lean towards Genty a little bit just because it'd be like, man, this is a Boise State player. It's not a Power 5, Power 4 conference player.
You see the backdrop I've got right here. You say you'd lean towards Genty over Travis Hunter. If it comes down to Genty or Dylan Sampson right now, which way you going?
I mean, you got to go Genty. I
What?
mean, he's just, he's putting up video game stats, and Sampson's putting up good numbers. He's getting in the end zone a lot, but he isn't that guy either. He's got, there's another running back at Tennessee that he splits carries with, where you see, Genty's getting 30-something carries a game, so he's putting up stats. He's got the highlight runs. He's unorthodox with the way he stands back there. He gets a little more love for that, and don't kid yourself. It's because he plays for Boise State too. They're winning games because of him.
You got me fired up, son. You got me fired up.
Unless you got some stats.
I'm just gonna say this right here, Dylan Sampson. I can get you some stats right fast. Just you hold on one second. But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the biggest stat though. Right this very moment, he is 2 touchdowns shy of breaking the single season rushing touchdown record for Tennessee. He's got. Let's see here. Let me pull it up here. He is at 17 touchdowns on the year on 144 carries and 838 yards against much better competition than
True,
Mr.
and
Genty.
I have Mr. Genty's stats pulled up here. He has 18 touchdowns. Now he has over 1,300 yards to go with it, but that was a lot closer than I would have expected to see. And I don't think, is Sampson even is he in the top
Nope.
5?
He's not been talked about.
Wow.
He has not been talked about. I'm not going to go off on a rant till later. So we're good there. But that's something for, that's food for thought, I think.
Yeah, no, that's eye opening, and I would be offended too if my running back wasn't even getting any talk, one touchdown away from the guy who's probably the front runner.
Because one more, I guess my closing argument, so to speak, for Sampson. Dude had 2 touchdowns against Alabama, and he scores his touchdowns when it matters. It don't matter where he scores them from. It don't matter who anybody scores them from. He scores them when it matters. Actually, he had 3 against Bama. No, I'm sorry, 2. Excuse me, 2, because Brazil had one of them. What I'm getting at is, dude just gets out there and produces. It doesn't matter, and he's not
like I said, he's not the guy like Genty is.
That's true, and Tennessee has got a loaded running back room. Deshaun Bishop, Cam Seldon. We haven't seen much Cam Seldon this year. I think he's been hurt. Bishop, it's good to see him, but man, we're getting off track here.
All right, one more. I'm going to throw one more thing at you. The leading rusher in touchdowns in the country, who has one more touchdown than Genty, is Daly, the quarterback from Army. So we got a quarterback leading the country in rushing touchdowns. So
that's
a crazy stat there.
What a time to be alive.
What a time. And they play Air Force this weekend, who's 1-6, so I'm sure we'll hit that. But all right, let's get down to some Saturday games. Right off the bat, let's talk about the biggest game of the weekend.
It's Best Big way Noon to start. Saturday.
Big Noon. Hate that. I'm so glad the SEC doesn't do that, dude. There's nothing worse than a noon game. Fans, players, everybody hates it. So I know, I like Texas, Oklahoma. I bet they were thrilled to play at 3:30. for the first time in however long. So hate the noon games, but this should be a night game. Penn State, wide out, all that. Like it's it's unfortunate. But unless the line's changed any, we've got Ohio State as number 4 at Penn State, number 3. We know that the environment. Ohio State favored 3.5 points. Even after this past weekend, maybe it would have been more if they didn't struggle against Nebraska and maybe Penn State looking as good as they did against Wisconsin helped. But I'm surprised to see that line a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 3.5. It's not changed much. It's a 3.5 point spread in favor of the Buckeyes. It's a over under a 45.5.
This might be a must win game for Ohio State.
I think it's a must win game for either one of them, man, because Penn State's really not played anybody very good this year.
But they are undefeated. They are undefeated.
They are undefeated. They are.
Ohio State would have to rely on the fact that they've lost to 2 top 3 teams, which still would keep them ranked in the top 10, but they can't afford another loss after that. And, that's, I don't know. It's a must win for both, yes, but I think Ohio State needs it.
This is one of those where you're like, you're looking at it and you're like, okay, Ohio State's got 1 loss, Penn State's got nothing in the L column. Ohio State, man, as weak as the Big Ten is, they cannot afford to drop this game. They can't.
And their schedule's pretty easy coming up. After this game, they have nothing to look ahead to at least in the immediate future. They play Purdue, they play Northwestern. Those would be cataclysmic upsets. Then they play Indiana, and then Michigan, of course, in the season. Both of those games are at home. So very favorable schedule for Ohio State. They could lose this game and went out easily. And then very favorable schedule for Penn State. Penn State's got Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland left. So
Penn State could drop this one and cruise the rest of the way.
They're in, man. As long as this isn't embarrassing. I mean, that's not going to be fun for the committee because they would have a 11-1 Penn State team sitting there with their only loss to Ohio State. They may not have won very much. They almost lost to USC. They win that game in overtime. No real pretty wins all year. 21-7 to Illinois. They're going to have to make a decision.
How do you put that team at 13? You don't. You can't.
You can't. It's their only loss was Ohio State, but man, what an awful. I mean, it'll probably end up where because Illinois right now is at number 19. We know they're probably going to drop out of the top 25 by the end of the year. Penn State may have only played one ranked team all year, and that would be Ohio State.
Yeah, so
they don't have to win, but they got to look good.
This is one of those that all the pressure's on the Nittany Lions.
Yeah.
It's that's one I don't know, man. That's a tough one, but I gotta say, man, I think I might take Penn State in that one outright.
Yeah, I mean, I keep going against them, picking against them. So I'm going to pick them outright as well, and just say
But this is the week that we're going to probably eat shit on it. I mean, I hate to say it, but this is the week we're probably going to.
You're probably right, but I'm going to put a lot in the home crowd. I'm going to put a lot in them being able to win an ugly game, even though Ohio State did it last week. I think Penn State is more capable of winning an ugly game. That's their brand of football. In the spirit of
Penn State, I would rather shower. No, just kidding. Never mind.
Oh, brother, I just knew it was going there. All right, we might have to end stream now.
Just kidding. Next up, though, we got my Duke Blue Devils. My unsexy Duke Blue Devils.
They're a lunch pail team. They just pick up their lunch pail and they go to work.
Yes,
and they work in the mines. It ain't pretty. They get dirty. Sometimes they win. Sometimes they lose. Come on, Duke. Come on. I'm on the train. I'm 21.5 points. Come on now. I don't know.
Noon game too. Game.
Come on. Somebody's got to take down Miami.
I think this is the week it happens, dude. I'm telling you.
Got a feeling to it.
Duke. Okay, like I said last episode, Duke is not the sexy pick. It does not matter who they're playing. They're just not. They're not. But they're disciplined. They're playing good football. They give themselves a shot, and that's all you can ask for. I mean, it really is. And
they're gonna fight, and they're gonna claw, and they're gonna make this a game. And I take Duke in the points, maybe not take them outright, but I take that 21.5 point spread all day.
Yes,
because they could even go down 21, but they're gonna fight, claw their way back in, make that a closer game. So
absolutely,
maybe an overtime game.
Ooh,
maybe an overtime game.
Just Duke in that game has to give themselves a chance going into the fourth quarter. That's all they need.
Yeah.
That's all they need.
Right.
Don't have to, they can go in down 10 going into the fourth quarter. As long as they got a shot, they're in it. I mean,
they can't let Cam Ward get hot. That's a hard thing to do. But when he gets his groove on, he's tough to stop. So you gotta put him on his butt.
Got a little Manny Diaz in there coming from Miami to Duke.
Duke. There you go.
There's a good storyline there. So
there's a chip on that shoulder.
I'll be curious. Absolutely. I'll be curious to see what
that's
happens.
a good one. Another noon game, another team we've been critical of, expecting more out of. Guess where they got to go? That's that's the Ole Miss Rebels going to Fayetteville.
Rebel Black Bears
to play Arkansas.
Where's your grass
touchdown favorite? Touchdown favorite for Ole Miss. So they are definitely respecting Arkansas and Fayetteville playing there with that spread, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna say this: Taylor Green, that's the Arkansas quarterback. He just won SEC Player of the Week last week, I want to say. Arkansas is a lot better than people want to give him credit for. I mean, take it from me. We lost to them. I know it. I called that game. I'd been calling that game for a week. Damn it. And it still aggravates me. Give me Arkansas outright. I don't care.
Like that
over
pick.
under.
I like that.
Give it to me. Over under is 53.5. Give it to me though. Either way.
For sure.
Arkansas gets it done. And I think this is where the wheels fall off for Lane on the season.
Man. Yeah, number 19. Even in wins lately, they haven't looked good. So we'll see. Not a fun game to roll into after struggling against Oklahoma for 3/4 of the game. So that'll be an interesting. I mean, there's a lot of games we got to try to flip through here. It's going to be keeping us busy on the remotes, multiple TVs and setups, whatever we got to do there. But there's some good games. There is some good games. So Ole Miss, upset alert, big time.
Yes, absolutely.
It would not be a surprising. That's the thing. It would not be a surprising upset. They're only a touchdown favorite. Vegas knows.
Absolutely.
So up next, we got an Armed Forces game.
Air Force at Army.
And Air Force is off 1-6. Army, again, running quarterback.
22.5 point spread.
Which is pretty crazy considering their type of offense. But quarterback's got almost 20 touchdowns on the season. I think he'll hit 20 this game. And I think they roll. They bring. I mean that game for the Armed Forces teams and schools is as big as any of our rivalry games.
Absolutely, man.
So that is the record doesn't matter there. They're both going to come to play. But I would love to, try to get on the Navy train a little bit, or the boat, if you will.
I wanted to. Last week.
I'm going to battle with Army, baby. Hey, bring me to the front lines with Army, baby.
42 and it's 41.5 over under too. And Army's favored by let's call it 23.
Yep.
That's I don't know. That's a big spread in a game like that with two teams that run a similar offense.
Yeah, you're right. Number 1 team in the country rushing, Army, 359 yards a game.
Jesus,
59 yards a game. And they're in the top 10 in points. Awful defense though, or awful in passing. Defense is not.
How many pass attempts do they get a game? 5.
Got it. I mean, they average 100.3. Are there 134 teams in NCAA Division I football? They are 134th in passing.
So, in other words, they throw like my Pee Wee team.
Yeah, that is old school football right there. Is in Army or Air Force, I should say, they're in the top 32 in rushing yards. They are 133rd in the country in passing. So the two worst passing teams in the country going up against each other. Just wow.
So what you're telling me is this is going to be a game played in a phone booth, and it'll probably be over within an hour and a half.
Now here's what's most impressive about Army. As good as they rush, they stop it almost as good. This will blow your mind. They've only given up 79.6 yards on average a game. Third in the country.
Damn.
They've only given up 12.4 points. 6th in the country.
That's crazy.
Air Force is the exact opposite. They are 119th against the rush. 93.7 yards a game. Give me Army. 30, 40, 50 points. It's a blowout. It's ugly. They're gonna put up 400 yards rushing on that team. It's over. It's over,
buddy. That's crazy.
And that's a big, because Air Force guys think they're smart. Thought they are smarter for the most part. Takes more to get into there as far as academically. So they, Army gets to show them on the field what matters most. So
I do want to ask you though.
Give me Army by 40.
You said they give up what, 79 yards a game rushing?
Yes.
Who is right on their tail on that?
I mean, it's got to be Tennessee. I mean, I have no doubt that Tennessee's giving up less than 100 yards rushing.
What do we have for him, Johnny? Because it's 79. Let's see here, because I actually had to touch on this last night on Balling Out. 79 yards per game rushing. We give up 2.2 an attempt, sir.
Crazy.
That's crazy. Next game up, though. The Minnesota Golden Gophers at the Fighting Illini of Illinois. It's a noon game, 45.5 point over under. Illinois is ranked number 24 for now. Minnesota is favored.
Well, this will be the game that knocks Illinois out of ranking. This will be it. Minnesota has an impressive win on their schedule, beating USC. They almost beat Michigan. They've beaten UCLA, beat Maryland last week. They're rolling. They're in a good shape. They're in good shape right now. I think they win that one pretty well. It's at Illinois, but I do think they win that one by possibly double digits. But yeah, so this is Minnesota's chance. They knock Illinois out of the top 25, maybe replace them themselves. Just because they do have a top 25 win themselves. They have some good games. Not any bad losses. So they could possibly swap out Illinois now being the unranked team, Minnesota being the 25th ranked team in the country.
I'm with you. PJ Fleck going to row this out of that boat. And just rowing it, man. Next up, Oregon at Michigan. Oregon, 14.5 point favorite. This is a 3:30 game. We're getting into the afternoon slate now. 45.5 over under. So to me, I think they're throwing a lot of credit towards the Michigan defense, and I think they're throwing some credit towards the Oregon defense. So that's telling me they think, okay, both these defenses are pretty legit. This is a tough one, man, because it's in the big house. It's a mid-afternoon game, pretty sizable spread. You'd like to think Michigan is, not 15 points worse than Oregon.
Yeah, you would, especially Michigan. Yeah, but they're struggling, and it's just we'll say it every week about how important having security at quarterback is for a team. So Oregon is in a very secure situation with their quarterback, even though he's 25 or whatever years old. He is perfect for their team. He's rolling. He's got them rolling. Michigan's, they going with this guy. They're going with that guy. Every week it's a different announcement. One of their quarterbacks, I think, just announced his retirement because of multiple concussions from football. So
he's the new Tua.
Yeah, well, except he actually retired
Yeah.
to us like Reggie Ray and not another teen movie. We're counting down. So how many has he got left? But anyways, again, they're obviously putting, like you said, they're putting a lot of credit into Michigan's defense, who has been good. Oregon's been better, and I think they'll continue to be better. This should not be a very difficult game for them, but because of the atmosphere, because of you just feel like at some point Oregon's got to have one of those games. You know
They
what I
got to
mean?
slip up. Yeah.
Right. They got to slip up at some point. Maybe this is the week to do it, but I would take Oregon with those points right now, and I'm surprised it's not higher.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we are recording this on a Wednesday, midweek. So we've got, let's say, 2 days, 2.5 days before that. At this point, though, I feel like if that spread's going to move, it's moved as much as it's going to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
might
I think
go a
so.
point one way or the other, but which, I mean, that's a lot when you're betting. I mean, I've said it before: the half point giveth, and the half point taketh away. Because it's
It's
happened
the
to me.
worst thing you can see. Yes.
It
The
is. It
worst thing
is.
it
It's worse than cold gravy on your biscuits, man.
is.
But it's. I mean, I don't know. I'm torn on that one. Honestly, I don't know if I'd touch it. I don't. I think I would take, if I was going to bet on it, I would take an over under bet. And most people are like, "Oh, life's too short to bet to not bet the over." This is one I think I'd bet the under. I think
Yeah.
I would. If I was going to do it, I would take the under.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it. I think it'd be good for Michigan, be a good way for them to turn things around, maybe. Maybe find something at quarterback and just start to feel a little better about themselves going forward. Let's not forget, man, we're just what 7 months removed from them being crowned national champion.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy to see the drop off. You know, Harbaugh left them with some sanctions, just like all
No
good
Connor
coaches do.
Stallions.
Just like all good coaches do.
Screw that guy.
Right, right.
I don't even care.
Awful.
Screw
So
that guy.
they're dealing with some of that, but this would be a good way for them to turn things around. So love to see
Yeah.
it. Wouldn't take anything away from Oregon if it did happen, because that's a tough place to play. Michigan
Yeah.
still has a great defense. So when you have great defense, as we all know, you can win every game.
Yeah, absolutely. Defense. There's two things in football that travel. It's defense and a run game.
Yep.
Michigan's got both of them.
They do.
Michigan
They do.
does have both of them.
Yeah. They need enough of a passing game to keep Oregon honest, but that'll be an interesting game.
Yeah,
I'd like
absolutely.
to see that one.
Kind of disappointed that one's not the Big Noon Saturday game. Next up, though, buddy, your beloved Florida Gators and the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs, who are 16.5-point favorites, and it's a 52.5-point over under. Neutral site game, supposed to be 50-50, 50-50, not 50-50, 50-50.
50-50.
What's your take on this one, buddy? I'm gonna let you run with this one.
Well, I'll start by saying I'm excited for this game for a few reasons. I've had to work for the last 4 or 5 years during it. They haven't been pretty on my side for the most part, but it's one of those games I love to watch. So I got an opportunity to watch it this weekend. No distractions, and so I'm excited for that, and excited. It just feels like I think we have a team that can be competitive with Georgia. I really do. If we play our best game on offense, defense, special
Yeah.
teams, I could see this spread going up. Just got some news tonight that I think would affect the spread for sure. Jason Marshall Jr. for Florida is out for the season,
Mm.
and that's Florida's best corner, probably the best defense player, first round draft pick. He's all of it. He was the heartbeat of that defense, honestly. So losing him is huge. Freak injury against Kentucky. He tore his labrum and his shoulder, which is not the end of the world, but it's best for him and his future as a pro to go ahead and get that surgery done. So I'm sure that's what advised, and that's what they advised, and I fully support that as well. That's a big loss for Florida. Not that Georgia has run a passing game that you have to be very afraid of, In fact, and their leading receiver only has 444 yards on the season, where Florida's leading receiver is over 100 more than that, close to 100 more than that. But still, that was a guy you could put out on an island with anyone. You saw it in Neyland. The ball was not thrown his way much. He is as good a corner as you'll see. So losing him, that's huge. I think that could affect the spread. Also could affect the spread. I don't know how true it is, but I think Florida's Eugene Wilson might be out. So Trey Wilson, most dynamic wide receiver, kind of the Percy Harvin model, running, passing, jet sweeps, things like that. He's the one that Tennessee stopped on that 4th down play. But, he's I don't know, he's been dealing with some injuries, and it seems like it's flared back up on him. But that could hurt the spread as well. So the fan in me wants to say this is the year, this Florida team behind DJ Lagway built on what we saw against Kentucky, which a lot of people missed because of the Georgia-Texas game, but that was basically a dominant performance by Florida's offense against a good defense.
Score for that one.
That was so.
Yeah.
So DJ Lagway and Florida put up more yards on Kentucky in the first half than they had averaged all season per game. And, that's a team that almost beat Georgia as well. So, with DJ Lagway, when he got the first team reps so far, he's been. And I know the other opponent was Samford, but when he gets the first team reps, he looks like a different quarterback out there. And he was making some passes. He was making passes downfield. So I forget the exact stat, but there was a record set we haven't had in a while, several years, might have been 10, 20 years even, that he completed the most yards, 20 yards in a game that a Florida quarterback has probably since the Spurrier days.
Sure.
In that game. So he's always looking down the field. He's different than Mertz, who's looking to throw it shallow and let his receiver make a play in space. DJ's looking down the field. He's got that NFL mindset, NFL quarterback mindset. But at the end of the day, and I told this, shout out to my barber, Luigi. I don't have much set up there, but I still hit him up every week, talk Florida football. One of the biggest Florida fans I know. So we love talking about it every week. He's feeling pretty good about our chances. We were talking about, actually this morning, the possibility of Jason Marshall would play. So now he's been officially ruled out. So that would hurt his feelings a little bit too, I'm sure. But I told him in the barbershop that I hate the bye week before Georgia for one reason, and that's I feel like it benefits Georgia more than Florida, especially when you got a young quarterback. So, what Kirby Smart's done in the last 10 plus days, is he has found every weakness and every strength that DJ Lagway has, and he's going to attack every weakness from the get-go and stop every strength. So it's going to be hard. We're going to have to do something a little different. I don't know if they're going to send a lot of pressure at DJ. I think that's my guess. Some people think maybe they're going to sit back in coverage, try to pick the ball off, but my guess is they're going to send a lot of pressure. They're going to try to get him to make a mistake, try to get him flustered, try to get him to make fresh mistakes. So at the end of the day, I do hope for a close game. I do hope for a competitive game, kind of like Tennessee, where I told you I hoped it was close at halftime. I could feel maybe towards the end that maybe Tennessee's talent would take over. I think we'll feel that against Georgia. That and we just cannot turn the ball over this game.
Yeah,
can't give them quick scores. We can't give them scores, non-traditional scores that they don't have to drive 75 yards to get. We cannot do that. And if we do, punt return, kick, you name it, kick return, pick six, scoop and score, fumble in the red zone, picking on their side of the field, that's the death kiss there. So I'm afraid that that's probably going to happen, and that might be end up what takes a close game and starts to build a lead in Georgia's favor. So I would take Florida in the points right now to cover.
Sure.
Right now, we'll see who else is out, but I think 30-15 final scores. 30-15. A game that was around 14-10 at some point in the second half, third quarter, and it just kind of got away from Florida, and it ended up 30-14. 15 or so.
This is one of those games, man, where I have seen some crazy things happen in this game. 2007 is a perfect example. You guys were supposed
Lord.
to absolutely smoke them. They trotted half their damn team out there and done some kind of jig after they scored that first touchdown, and you guys were done after
Yep.
that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Y'all need to come out there, get in their head early. Shout out to Luigi too as well. I will absolutely agree with that because we got the same barber. I need to go see him this week actually.
That's
But you know, man, I want to pick you guys outright, to be honest with you, because Georgia is one of those teams. They get up for the games that they need to get up for, with the exception of Alabama. They were not up for that game. They were not. Kirby had to go in at halftime and absolutely chew somebody's ass to get them ready to play that second half.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, I'm also like, if Kirby Smart is one thing, he is a motivator, and he will have them ready to play you guys.
And he still has a very bad taste in his mouth. Not only losing to Florida, I think in his first 2 years, one of those years we rushed for 400 plus yards on him. He still has a bad taste in his mouth from that, and he wants. As a McElwain, that's 2 coaches ago. So I think he still views us as that, and he remembers that, and he just wants to beat the absolute tar out of Florida every chance he can get. Like I said, I actually wish we were going into that game with no bye week.
Yeah.
Which is very weird to say.
Not necessarily, because here's the thing. If you don't have that bye week, you don't have time to overthink things. I mean, look at us going into Arkansas. Look at Tennessee going into Arkansas. I think we also had a lot of time to, and this is not me throwing shade. We had a lot of time to sit and read, okay, well, Tennessee went to Norman and they're legit, you know. We had a lot of time to get in our own heads with that.
Yeah.
It can work both ways. You guys have a lot of time to sit there and read, well, Georgia's just going to, absolutely just beat us to sleep. I don't think so. I don't think they do. I don't think they do.
Well, and the one thing this Florida team has shown since the Mississippi State game is it has fight.
Yeah.
So they are fight. They're playing hard. Our defense has totally turned around to the point where Georgia's 30-something defense in the country. Florida's now in the 46th, 47th range themselves, which I would have not guessed.
You guys are right there, man.
Yeah, and that's after some bad games. So, at least over the last 5 games, we've been a top 25 defense, in my opinion.
To win this game, you guys don't have to necessarily play a perfect ball game. I don't think that Georgia is the Georgia of last year, where they're just going to absolutely just destroy you guys. I think, though, you do need a break or two to go your way. You guys will get you, and I think you guys will get your chance, because Carson Beck has not been.
We have to make him. We have to.
I think you get your chance, and I don't think they cover that 17-point spread. I did say it on Balling Out the other night. I was like, you know what? I do think, Georgia, simply because Kirby does not have a problem motivating those kids. That he don't. That's one thing I can't knock a kid about. You and I both were like, oh, hell yeah. They're hiring Kirby Smart, and now we're like, shit, they hired Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
I do think you guys have a shot at it, though. I'm gonna hate to do it, but I'm gonna renege, and I'm taking you guys. Like, give me those 17 points, and if that thing jumps up 20, give it to me.
Overtime game. That's my other overtime game. Well, even though I said realistically 30-15, but I could see that being an overtime game. So hopefully it is. I want to see some craziness. I want to see a good competitive game. We need it. Because right after that we go to Texas.
Yeah.
So doesn't get any easier.
Speaking of Texas, we got Texas Tech at the Iowa State Cyclones. Number 11 against an unranked Texas Tech Red Raiders team. 13.5 point spread, 56.5 point over under.
Well, if you follow Texas Tech, they've had some heartbreaking losses lately.
They have.
Feel for them. They're coming off 2 losses. I think Iowa State's a great team. I'm surprised people aren't talking about them more.
They're right there, man. They're hanging on like a hair in a damn biscuit.
Yeah, because they've not played a ton of people, but they've won pretty. They've not had very many close games. I know it's close with UCF, get that, but I don't know. Texas Tech, they're struggling. 13.5 points is a pretty big spread, but I do think Iowa State covers that at home. They always play good at home. You know that. They've upset a lot of people there over the years. They seem to have a legit offense. Quarterback this year. Quarterback's passed for almost 2,000 yards with 11 touchdowns. So they've really got something going, and they have a great defense too. So
sure,
yeah, second best team in the country against the pass.
Ooh.
Only so, and that's Texas Tech's strength, So has been that for years. So Iowa State, give me Iowa State and the points in that game. Home field advantage. I think they rolled 8-0. That's a team to start talking about.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Next up, we got a team that we've both been kind of talking about. I think you and I are both on different sides of the fence on this, though. Number 13, Indiana, 7.5 point favorites over Michigan State. They have to travel to Sparty. 3:30 kickoff, 51.5 over under. I'm taking Michigan State.
Outright?
I'm not sold on Indiana, man. I'm still not.
Well,
it's a hard team to buy completely in on. I'm sorry,
yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Michigan State, really. I mean, but they do have a couple bad losses. I mean, the Michigan loss,
rivalry game.
I know, but losing to Boston College,
that's a bad one. That's a bad one.
Then feel bad. Then they had to go play Ohio State and Oregon back to back. So I don't know. I feel like I have to continue to ride this Indiana train until the wheels fall off. This is a tough one. 8-0 team versus a 4-4 team. Obviously, Vegas is feeling the same way. They could easily have that as a 10+ point, double digit, 2 touchdown, favorite. But they're only favored by 7.5, 8 points on the road. So, but still, give me Indiana. I want to see them. I want to see them continue to win. I want to see them go into Ohio State undefeated.
I'm okay with that, but this is just one where if I'll put it like this: if Indiana covers an 8-point spread, and I'm not hyping up Michigan State like they're some great football team, because I know they're not. They're 500, whatever. They're your typical Big Ten football team. But this is also the week where injuries are starting to pile up, fatigue sets in, and I don't know. Michigan State, they're good for at least one game a year where you're like, what the hell? I think this is it.
Yeah.
I think this is it.
I can see that Michigan State does have a good. Yeah, they got a top 25 defense. But man, Indiana's top 5 in defense and offense. That's impressive to me. So we'll see. This is another chance for them to make a statement. So excited to see how that one goes. And then looking at the next matchup, what do we got here? Kansas State. Again, they just barely squeaked by Kansas at home, going to Houston. And Kansas State's favorite 12.5. So
yeah,
I would be tempted to take Houston at home with the points there, even though they've not looked like a good team. They're 3-5, losing record. But Kansas kind of limping in a little bit, or Kansas State's limping in a little bit. They went down early to Kansas last week. Didn't win that game probably like they thought they would. So 13.5 points or almost 2 touchdowns. I might be considering taking Houston to the points on that, but then again, I know Houston's not good. So
I think that's one of those. If I'm going to bet it, I don't think that I'm betting the spread. I think I'm going to take over under. But Kansas State, you never know what kind of offense you're going to get out of them. You just don't.
It feels bad saying this, but I just saw that Houston has the worst offense in points per game in the country. When's the last time we could say that, man? Because
Houston has fallen way off
they've
since
fallen way off.
Mr. Holmgren.
Yeah,
You
since
know
he
what I mean?
left. Yeah, they just that because that's kind of what they've always had is that offense, So, yeah,
They're not the Houston of old.
no, you got to go Kansas State with the points, I think, in that. But, better play a little better than they did last week, and
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
in-state rivalry there. But they need to play better if they want to make a real state.
That's true. I'm with you there, but I think if I'm betting that one, I'm betting the over under, and I think honestly, dude, I think I'm taking the under. I think I'd take the under. I'm an under guy because it's like it's one of those things, man. Defense travels. K-State's got defense.
Yeah, and Houston doesn't have offense. So neither team's going to put up a lot of points in that game. I think that's a good call. And then fun one here. I love the spread on this one. I love it. I think it's perfect. Texas A&M, they're now in the top 10, going to South Carolina. You and I have been there. We've seen it. It's a tough atmosphere. I actually went to the very first game on the SEC network there, which was Texas A&M versus South Carolina. Kenny Hill taking over from Johnny Manziel, and he put a show on against South Carolina. Emptied that stadium. We thought he was his nickname was Kenny Trill. Did the little money sign, all that. We thought he was him, and then he ended up he might transfer to Houston, right? So I love that 2.5 point spread, less than a field goal at South Carolina. South Carolina is much better than people think.
It's a 7:30 kickoff. All the frat guys gonna steal their girlfriends, shorts, and
yes,
dance a sandstorm and talk shit to you at Chick-fil-A and all that good stuff.
That just sounds so personal.
It does, and it is. It is.
I remember.
Man, I was just putting mustard on my biscuit, and this dude's asking me, are you ready to get your ass whooped? I'm like, well, no. But anywho,
why don't you just breathe out and your button will pop on your shorts?
Right?
Yeah.
Dude was like 40 years old at the time. He's probably 50 now and doing Blue Chew commercials. But
Vegas knows something there, man. 2.5 points.
I'll tell you right now, dude. I said it last night on Balling Out. I'm taking South Carolina on the money line. They're plus money. It's a hard place to go and win at night.
Yep. Yeah.
You got, sandstorm playing. No, give me South Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll fake punts, they'll fake kicks, they'll do whatever they got to in that game.
Yes.
But it's all on Texas A&M's quarterback. He go in there and play like he did against Florida in the swamp.
And I'm gonna give every South Carolina fan within 700 miles of us right now a soundbite for years to come. Shane Beamer has the most punchable face in college football. I do not care. In all of college football, he has the most punchable face in all college football. I can't stand the man. He's low down. He's dirty. He cheats. But give me South Carolina. Just give him to me.
Wow.
Give him to me.
Wow. That's the most punchable face, like Brennan from Step Bros. Fix your face, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't had
there's nothing he can do to fix his face.
Absolutely not. No, except go somewhere else, and I'd still want to punch his face.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Give me South Carolina though.
I'd like to take that too. Like I said, I'd love to see that spread because I think they know. I think Vegas knows, and I think we're in for a fun game there. So hopefully, I'm rolling in. Hopefully, after a win, big upset win, I'll be on an emotional high, or at least a close game. And then
you'll be in a glass case of emotion.
Chill and watch Texas A&M South Carolina a little bit. So love that game. Love that spread. And that's going to be fun. So
yeah.
Next game, big ACC game. ACC's been very weak this year. Very weak. But this is a big matchup. Clemson obviously got their butts whooped game 1 against Georgia. They looked a lot better than since then. I
They
think if
put
you
it
were to play
together.
that game again, it would at least be a lot closer.
Yeah.
Louisville is just, they had Miami on the ropes. They've had Notre Dame on the ropes, if I'm not mistaken.
They've had their chances.
They
They've had
have,
their
and
chances.
they're that type of team. They've got a good freshman running back there. And that receiver, Lacey, he's dynamic in the kick return game and other facets of their offense. So that's going to be a fun game. I like the 63.5 points. I could definitely see that. Whether they put up 80 plus combined against them in Miami when they played.
Yeah.
So Clemson better be ready to play that game. They've got a chance to put themselves in position to top Miami. Miami was to slip up in any way, and be the top team in the ACC.
It's a 10.5 point spread too. Like Louisville's good enough to make this a ball game. Louisville's good enough to win this ball game. I mean, they're 5-3. To your point, Clemson. It's also almost time for Dabo to slip up.
Yeah.
It's almost time for Dabo to say, "Hey, those guys are just worried about flipping burgers and making it to the playoffs." Blah 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 blah. And we see how that worked out for him. Got beat by our backup quarterback. Anywho, it's a 10.5 point spread, 63.5 over under. You know what? Give me Louisville and the points, and I'll take the under.
Wow. All right. Well, we get to see a little defense in that pick. Little defense, I should say. I mean,
Louisville
still
likes
be
to
50
mud
plus.
games up. They like to mud games up just a little bit. So, and they can score. They got a decent enough quarterback. They can score. Man, those 10.5 point games, like spreads like that, if you can get 2 touchdowns out of that and a little bit of defense on the underdog side, you're covering. And I think Louisville's at least good enough for that.
I think so. And they got a great quarterback, man. His stats are unbelievable. Same with Cade Clemson. They both have 20 touchdown passes and only 5 interceptions for Louisville's quarterback, 3 for Cade. So they're good. They're good at not turning the ball over. And
side prop bet.
Two great running backs as well.
How many times do they show Cade Klubnik's parents during the game? Over under 5.5.
Well, I don't. Is that a meme or something? I'm not.
During the Tennessee game, when he started, they show them every other play.
Huh.
And it's like an ongoing thing. Your guess is as good as mine, man. They were like, Cade Klubnik's parents watch him as he fumbles a 3rd and long, and Tennessee goes and scores.
Well, I'm going to say,
okay.
I'm going to say under 1.5.
Ooh, I think I'll take the over on that. I think we'll see him at least 3 times.
Let's see.
Let's see.
I think that maybe that was with it being his first start, parents excited and all that, but usually don't see that unless there's a the dad's a famous former player or someone famous or rich, or mom's very good looking.
I was a little intoxicated during that game, so I couldn't tell you either way.
I got it.
Next up, though, one of two ranked on ranked matchups this week. The Pitt Panthers at SMU Mustangs, 8 p.m. Saturday night. 7.5 point spread. Over under is at 58.5. I'm jumping on this one first. I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you why. Pitt is better than people think. They can score. They've got a good offense. Give me the 7.5. I don't think they got enough to beat SMU. SMU has a good offense as well. But give me the 7.5 and the over.
I like that. They're rolling, and I have to say I'm surprised by that. I thought Pitt and Penn State played every year. They don't have Penn State on their schedule this year, but they do have Clemson coming up.
Yeah.
So big chance for Pitt here at 7-0, coming off a big win. SMU again, also coming off a big win. I mean, especially the travel. Now they had to travel to North Carolina. Now they got to travel to Pittsburgh from Texas, middle of Texas where they are. That's some travel right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're on a streak. They haven't lost in 5 games themselves. So what an underrated game there. That might be really fun to watch, like you said. So yeah, I think, and I'm sorry, this is at SMU. It's at SMU, so they finally get back in Texas and play at their home place. And Pitt's got to travel. So still, I like Pitt though. I do like that. I like the Pitt pick. I like to pick Pitt.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against them, man. They've got good coaching. They've got an offense. It's just hard to bet against them, man. And that over under is, I feel like it might go down a point or two. Like I say, give me Pitt in the points, and at the very least, give me Pitt in the points and the over.
Yeah. Here's interesting. Both teams are very good at stopping the run. SMU fifth is fifth against the run. Pitt is ninth against the run. Both are in the hundreds against the pass. Pitt's the stronger pass team. So I like seeing that, where SMU strength is against the run, but that is Pitt's strength on defense. So I think that's a big deal there. It's a big deal. And Pitt's putting up over 40 points a game because of that passing. So I think that gets Pitt the win and covering that spread. So last but certainly not least,
don't you play
now, it's probably one of the best hype videos. I will go ahead and say it. That's the best hype video I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The Tennessee's reveal dark mode, just amazing. I'm sure the Tennessee fans, it was even better, but I think the whole country was just in awe of that. Whoever put that together, kudos to you. If that was just some grad assistant or something, or intern, give that person a job. Give them a full-time job right now, because that was impressive. That was movie quality. The mirror scene with the Tennessee player in their traditional unis and then flipping over to the dark unis quickly, man. That was just too cool, too hype. And we all sat there and thought the same thing. Kentucky's about to get that, but
dude, I'll tell you what. One thing I want to say, it don't matter how bad or how good, whatever Tennessee football is, social media department for the football team, man, they stay undefeated. That was 10 out of 10, one of the best. I mean, we all knew it was coming, and I think that's why, for this game, I think that's why they put so much into doing that video, because, I mean, if you know it's coming, it's not really a surprise. But the video was chef's kiss. I mean, it was just
beautiful.
Perfect.
It was beautiful. Now, I'll say one thing, and I said this to another Tennessee fan earlier. As beautiful as that was, it'll never beat the surprise that Lane Kiffin did against South Carolina in his year in 2009 at Tennessee.
I won't argue.
That was before, we had social media back then, but guys weren't on IG in the locker room. Somebody would have leaked it. No one saw that. No one saw that.
I was at that game.
And they warm up in their traditionals. And you don't know until they come out to run through the power tee, and they're in the black unis for the first time ever, right?
Yes, I was at that game, man.
Lane knew what he was doing there, man. He had something special going, and I still get goosebumps thinking of that, because that was, and you saw the result on the field.
That was a special night in Neyland. Like, I don't care who it was, that was a special night in Neyland. That being said, man, dude, this is one of those. I mean, you've seen me crawl on the floor over this game. Like, literally seen me crawl on the floor over this game,
Yes, and talking smack in person to one of their offensive linemen back in 2006.
Oh, man. It's just been one of those games, man. Like, we either go out there and over the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years at least, it's either they play us just tight as we want to play, or we go out and blow them out. But I liken this game to Florida for Kentucky, for Florida for Tennessee for Kentucky, because it doesn't matter. It seems like it don't matter, I should say, what type of ball team they trot out there every year. It could be the best team they fielded in 50 years. They find a way to lose to Tennessee. It does not matter. It could be the worst team we put out there and the best team they've ever fielded, and we find a way to beat them. And I don't see this game being any different. I do want to throw some stats out there for you. Kentucky's lost 3 games in a row since beating Ole Miss. They rank 124 out of 134 passing. They've got the 121st scoring offense in the country. They failed to score more than 20 in conference play. All-time series Vols lead 84-26. Give me the Vols, man. I mean, I don't try to be a homer. I'm not going to sit here. If it was a game where we're expected to lose, man, I would say, hey, we're going to lose. But we're not. This is not one of those games. And I will be back here next week to eat my crow if Kentucky so happens to do it.
No, but I think you're good. I mean, you look at if Florida can beat Kentucky 48-20, so can Tennessee. So spread of 16, that's nothing. Tennessee covers that. And Kentucky in that game, they might find a way. They've got probably got the best kick returner in the country. Florida made the mistake of kicking to him before halftime in their game. He took it to the house. They scored another touchdown on a flea flicker. So, they really only scored one traditional touchdown. And, they might do that against you guys, too. They might get a scoop and score, might get one pick six. But I expect, and let's not discredit them to the point that we completely disrespect their defense, which is still very good and very much capable of holding a good offense to a lower number of points. But that offense kills their defense. 3 and outs, turnovers. Their defense is constantly on the field. So as good as that defense is, they get worn out, and they will get worn out this weekend. You just can feel the confidence growing with Nico, and he's going to be hitting those. He's going to be hitting those deep passes. I call at least a couple of deep touchdown passes this weekend. And yeah, I mean, I feel like you'll be able to get into the third quarter feeling pretty good about you guys and not having to worry about a 6 overtime thriller where you're crawling around on the ground. And man, that was awesome though. But yeah, I would imagine by the third quarter you'll be feeling pretty good. Like I said, Kentucky's Mark Stoops, he's always good about pulling a trick play or two out of his hat, finding a way to get points, but that offense is too bad. And your defense is way too good. So it's a bad combination. It's a bad combination. I don't see that game being close at all.
I'm gonna go bold on this one. I do think we cover the spread. I don't think the over under is hit. It's right at 46. Tennessee wins in a shutout, 35-0.
Woo! That'd be nice.
Because here, listen to me. 19 points a game, 141 rushing. They've only had 9 rushing touchdowns on the season. Meanwhile, the Vols defense is stingy as hell, giving up 79 a game, 2.2 an attempt, 11.5 points per game. We've only give up 8 touchdowns in the red zone all year. Like, I mean, it's bold, but I don't feel like it's out of the realm of possibility. It could be a 24-0 type game.
Yeah. Could, yeah.
Either way,
absolutely.
Vols are covered.
I like that, and I just don't see a scenario where you guys lose that game. It's not like you could point back to Alabama and say, Tennessee tried very hard to lose that game in the first half. Am I right? That was you left so many points on the field. Left so many points on the field in that half. Still came out. That's what a great defense does for you. So I just even if it's sloppy and ugly like that in the first half, you still go into halftime up 10-0, I think. And then come out and get a couple more touchdowns.
We went 3 straight games, man, without a touchdown in the first half. That changes this week.
Yeah.
I feel like we're really close to putting it all together on offense. I still don't think this is the week we see it. It looked a little bit better against Alabama. Offensive line play was a lot better against Alabama. It had to be. It had to be to win that game. Had a bye week. I do think that the play calling this week, this has been my biggest issue as a Tennessee fan for the season. I feel like we've come out almost uber conservative, and I'm not complaining about winning games. Like, I don't care if we win by 1 or 100. Win the game. That's all that matters at this point. Win the game. I'm not going to sit here and be like, we didn't win by enough, because 1 point's enough. Win the game. But I want to see Tennessee open the playbook. I want to see them go down the field and put points up. I don't think this is the weekend that we see that. I do think Kentucky's defense is good enough to kind of keep that intact.
Right, and their
I think
offense is
we
not
take
good
baby
enough
steps.
to. Their offense is not good enough to where I don't think Heupel's going to feel like he has to call it. It's
right. I think you see baby steps out of the Tennessee offense again this week. And I don't want to say baby steps. I'm just going to say you see what you've seen most of the year. Better, we run the ball. I mean, the offense is balanced, man, to the point to where we get 241 rushing a game and we throw for 232. And the 232 that we throw for, you're not seeing it thrown for on, big chunk plays. It's we're eating the clock up and we're setting it up off those runs. We get 5.3 a carry, man. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, you can't stop running the ball when you get that.
It's hard to defend that.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Right.
And I said that.
And
I said that before our game.
I'm sorry. Yeah, man. I mean, and we're 22 for 34 in the red zone. As far as touchdowns go, we're 30 out of 34 total. We're putting up points. People just don't like how we're doing it, and it don't matter how we're doing it. Just win the game. This is one of those games. Win the game. If we win 17-0, we cover the spread. We won the game. I don't care. Just
you guys got this game and another game. Make the fans happy. You're not looking ahead to Georgia because that's still 2 weeks away. You got this game to, get out there in your dark uniforms, put up some points early on Kentucky, put that game away, let the fans have fun, and then do it all over again against Mississippi State next week, and then get ready to go to Georgia.
Yes.
So
game next week's going to be a get right game.
Yeah, right. So
I'll say that it's going to be a
said.
get right game.
Yeah, that's your time to really try to test Nico and put a lot on him. I think in that game, especially with Mississippi State not having a good defense, saying, "Hey, throw that ball, throw it down the field. Let's try to see what we got at wide receiver. Let's try to create some relationships, some continuity there that will help us in the Georgia game." So this is an exciting slate of football this week. We're going to be.
It is.
We're not even on NFL yet, which is what we're going to cover in the next episode with you. Is the NFL slate, which is getting better and better every week too. So
what a time to be alive! Playoff time.
Exactly. What a time to be alive. Soak it all in because we're over halfway through the season already, and soak every minute of this football season in. And I'm excited. So hope everybody enjoyed the episode tonight. We'll close it with Monty going over some parlays, some picks, money lines, something to try to win people some money. So let's see what he's got.
Something for you. So I do 2 every week. I'm gonna parlay the spread against the spread. Arkansas plus 7.5, Penn State plus 3.5. One we didn't cover, Auburn 7-point favorite, 6.5 point favorites over Vandy. Okay. Give me Auburn to cover the 6.5, and then I've got the Vols and Kentucky to hit that under 45.5. I'm doubling down on the shutout. 10 points though, or $10 will win you 106.45. You want to get ballsy, throw you 20 on it, double it up. This is one though.
I like it.
If you want to go outright, if you're more of a pick'em kind of guy, you like the upsets.
This is a big ball,
and I don't feel like these are very far off. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. But lucky for you guys, I'm only gonna say throw $10 on it. South Carolina, Pitt, Vandy, Illinois, Penn State, Arkansas, all outright. $10 will win you right at 3,500. So.
only one it's not there, crazy, but that Illinois, yeah,
Illinois, and maybe Pitt. That's those two are iffy. But here's the thing: if those early games hit that are on that, you've got a decent cash out. So, don't sweat out on it. Don't tap out early on that one. Just gonna say. don't tap out too early.
I like it. I like it. Those are some risky ones, but they could win somebody a lot of money if they do it. So
we got it. We got it, man. But buddy, I'm just gonna say go damn Vols. We're gonna hand Kentucky another one.
all right, man. Hey, well, that was fun.
Back to the coal
My
mines.
dude. Appreciate the time. There you go. Yeah, appreciate the time, and getting late here. Time to hit the sack and
Yes,
be
sir.
ready for another day of work. But I'm sure I'll see you in the morning at the kid drop off line, and we'll talk some more football
Yeah,
then.
buddy.
Everybody, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. Next episode will be led by Monty, talking about NFL football, and excited for that one. So that's next up. Thank you again for tuning in, everybody. Have a good night.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We appreciate everybody joining us and looking forward to it, man.